After the false start earlier this autumn, when Diane James lasted just 18 days in the job, UKIP's search for a new leader continues today. Nomination closed at midday, and our political correspondent Alex Forsyth is keeping a close eye on the contest for us. Alex, it seems that the nominees are dropping like flies.
Yeah, when this contest was first announced, which in itself was a bit of a surprise after Diane James did just 18 days in the job, there was a whole flurry of people that thought they'd throw their hat in the ring for this next UKIP leader role. But as it stands of today, when nominations have just closed, we know of only 4 that are left in the running. This morning, the latest candidate to drop out was Raheem Kassam. Now, he's a former aide to Nigel Farage. He was one of the first to declare that he'd stand for the leadership this time round. He only did his formal launch on Friday, so a couple of days ago. And over the weekend in the newspapers, he got quite a lot of traction, quite a lot of coverage. So I think it's fair to say it came as a surprise when he decided to withdraw this morning. Now, he put out a statement saying why, and what he said was he thought the path to victory was too narrow. Read into that he thinks that senior figures in the party are getting behind Paul Nuttall, and so there was little chance of him winning. He also cited some anger at the media, saying journalists had turned up at his parents' home, and also fundraising. Now, it was thought that the big multimillionaire backer Aaron Banks was behind Raheem Kassam, but Raheem Kassam saying in his statement this morning that they only had enough money to run a digital campaign based on Westminster. He didn't think that would be effective. That's part of the reason he's pulled out. I have spoken to Mr Kassam, who's not doing interviews today, and he said he still did have the support of Aaron Banks, but what he didn't want to do is take a lot of money in donations to effectively come second in this race, so he stood down. We'll get the final list of candidates this afternoon, and then the hustings start tomorrow. Right, and did he also imply that he thought the system, the process, had been somewhat rigged? He said he had asked a series of questions over the weekend about the integrity of the process, and he wasn't convinced by it. He's not going as far as to say that the process has been rigged, but what he's implying is that the weight of the party machine is getting behind Paul Nuttall, who some see as the front runner, some see as the one potential unity candidate who can really lead UKIP out of the mess they've been in for the past year or so. And so I think Raheem Kassam's implication is that he didn't think he could win against the weight of the party machine and the senior figures who want Paul Nuttall to succeed Nigel Farage as it currently stands, who's interim leader, and that's another part of the reason that he's decided to pull out. So we're left with 4 names in the frame as it stands, but no final confirmation from UKIP yet as to the shortlist, and then we'll tip into the debates with the new leader expected to be announced by the end of this month. All right, Alex Forsyth, thank you. And we've been joined by one of the 4 remaining candidates to be UKIP leader, Peter Whittle, who is a member of the London Assembly. Welcome to the Daily Politics. Morning. So you must be pleased that Raheem Kassam has withdrawn.
I'm not particularly pleased, actually, Joe, because I've known Raheem for a long time, and he's an exceptionally talented guy and a very individual guy. And I think that what the leadership contest is showing this time, as opposed to maybe the last one we had, is it's really the contest we should have been having all along. There are people of real merit, real talent, and I would want as many people as possible to be on show.
But he's backing you, so you must be pleased, or are you worried by that?
Not at all worried. It's very kind of him to back me, very kind of him to back me. But, you know, I think the fact is, when you look at the people who are standing now, they are extremely plausible, talented people. And that's what people have to know about our party.
Right. And how big a chance do you really have of winning against Paul Nuttall, Suzanne Evans, Paul Nuttall seeming to be the runaway candidate?
Well, you don't sort of enter these things, you know, with a kind of counsel of despair. And you absolutely don't. And you have to resist questions like that. And, no, I mean, the fact is I love this party. I've been in it for 4 years now. I've been culture spokesman for 3. And this year we had a real breakthrough and got 2 AMs onto the London Assembly, which people said, oh, you'll never do that in London. So I've pretty much dedicated my life to you.
But the party has gone through a series of convulsions, you might say, politically. Losing a leader after 18 days is certainly careless, to say the least. But Mr Kassam said he was going to be the Faragist candidate. Is that the mantle you are now going to assume? I'm
a great supporter of Nigel, always have been. He's the reason I came into this party. There's no revisionism going on there, so far as I'm concerned. Basically, you know, Nigel is a towering figure. Right, and isn't that why the party's in, you know, having the sort of problems it is now, because he's gone? It was always going to be a little bit tough. It was never going to be smooth picking a new leader, because you have got somebody like that, and he's the most influential politician we've had in 2 generations. However, no one is going to be going back on his legacy or in any way. But of course, what I think is that we are at a position now where we could go on to a really brilliant Act 2.
Right, whatever that might be.
It's very simple. We had basically our first peak, our first goal was the referendum, and we got that. Our next goal will be to replace Labour as the real opposition in this country.
Right. Oh, well, what do you say to that, Debbie Abrahams?
Well, I prefer really to know more about your policies. Other than leaving Europe, I'm really not clear exactly what UKIP stands for. So,
do you know that,
particularly around the NHS, which I know Paul Nuttall has absolutely slated.
No.
Well, I've got evidence to.
Well, you obviously therefore do know something about our policies. The fact is that with UKIP, everybody pretty much knows what we stand for, which is unusual in politics these days.
But then interesting that there are divisions within the party. If that was the case, you'd think there might be some consensus, because Mr Kassam says he is worried about the integrity of the process, the leadership contest as well. Are you worried about it? Has he got a point?
No. It's not a picture I recognise at all. Not at all. I think it's all been actually done very, very fairly and very professionally. You know, I mean, there's no question about that.
So he's wrong about that, or do you think it's just because he knew he wasn't going to win?
No, I think it's not a picture I recognise. I think it's been the whole progress of the leadership campaign has been, I think, very, very smooth this time, because we know what's at stake. We know what's at stake, and we want this party to be a success, because there are people, particularly in the Midlands and the North, who, it's not just a question of being politically opportunist. We have an absolute duty to speak for those people, and that's why I want us to be the official opposition in years to come, and therefore 2020 is the big start for that.
Right. You could say, though, actually, now the referendum has happened and Brexit is going to occur, there's actually no need for UKIP whatsoever. Labour could, despite their own internal problems, could begin to claw back some of the support they lost to UKIP. I'm only putting this...
No chance of this.
In terms, though, of putting forward your own individual vision for the party, do you think UKIP is ready to become the first UK-wide political party with a gay leader?
Oh, of course. I mean, I was the only gay leader, the gay candidate in the mayoral race, for example. I mean, not bad going, you know, for a supposedly homophobic party. You know, my fellow assembly member, David Curtin's a black guy. We're the most diverse group, actually, on the London Assembly.
And this, despite, as you say, claims of homophobia, have you experienced that in the party?
None. I've had nothing but support. None at all.
Right.
And, I mean, all of these things are very, very old charges, really, Joe. I mean, the fact is that what we have now in Britain are people who are not spoken for. They do not trust the Tories, and they're quite right not to trust the Tories. And in fact, I think there's no chance, whatever the kind of speeches that Theresa May makes, that they will go over to the Tories. And in fact, Labour now look down on them. They treat them with contempt. They
Although
treat
there have been
their own base
defections,
with
of course, to the Tories from UKIP since Brexit, since the referendum, as you know.
Fair weather friends.
Will you stay? Well, including Stephen Wolfe at the time, who certainly thought about it. I know he's not now running in the contest, but. Are you going to stay till the very end of this competition?
Well, I say we're all in it to win it.
Right. So you won't be dropping out. Just...
We're all in it to win it, and so I think that the question is that people will see, looking at our hustings, which are happening tomorrow in London, then in Wales, and there are 2 more next week. They will see the breadth of vision and the breadth of talent there is in this party.
Peter Whittle, thank you.
Thank you very much, John.